Oh, you've come back to us.
Vulture, how are you?
It's lovely to see you again. Although I think I see one or two unfamiliar faces there. Do you know what? Let me do the proper thing this time and introduce ourselves. My name's Anya, and that there's Finn. And we're warriors for the Red Branch Knights. Warriors for King Conor MacNessa.
And our job is to protect the lands of Ulster from would-be invaders. Listen, we're still on our way back from the lands of Derry, or Derry, as you might know it, to Ironmaca near Armagh. And it's a long road, let me tell you, and we've been walking it for a few days now, but to be fair now, we're sitting here again, and yes, again, we're telling a few stories, because it's what keeps us entertained, and as I said earlier, passes on traditions.
Yeah, Finn here's right. Our people love to tell stories, to pass on our history and our traditions, and of course to keep us entertained on these cold nights coming into winter.
Aye, when we're all stuck in.
Here, Finn, why don't you tell us a few stories?
And you know what, before I tell it, make sure you're sitting comfortably. Aye? Then I shall begin. You see, in the province of Connaught, there was a queen called Queen Maeve. And one night, after a feast, she was sitting with her husband, and they were boasting about their riches. How much gold they had, the finest clothes they had, all the possessions they had in the world. And they couldn't be separated. Everybody, both of them, had just as much as each other. Except for one thing. Queen Maeve's husband boasted about having a prize white bull. Well, this made Maeve very angry. She was jealous, in a rage, in fact. How dare her husband have something that she did not? So, she called forward her best warriors and demanded to know where she could find a bull that would equal her husband. And those warriors told her of the great brown bull of Quay in the lands of Ulster. Well, Queen Maeve wanted that bull, and she wanted it now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. So she sent her army forward and demanded that they went to Quay and they took back that bull so that she could beat her husband in their competition about how much wealth they had. And so the army of Queen Maeve marched to Ulster to take back the bull. And as the army got close, the curse of Maca struck down upon the Red Branch Knights and the warriors of Ulster. And they were all cursed with weakness and fell to their knees, unable to lift their swords and protect the borders of Ulster. But there was one warrior in the Red Branch Knights that was not struck down with this curse. For you see, Cuchulainn had not been born in Ulster. And so when Queen Maeve's army approached the lands of Quay, the only soldier from the Red Branch Knights there to protect the whole of Ulster was Cuchulainn. He fought and killed the best of Maeve's warriors, one after the other in single combat. He killed 100 soldiers single-handedly. Maeve's greatest warrior, Ferdia, took no part in the fight. He and Cuchulainn had grown up together, and they were great friends. Maeve knew this, so she lied to Ferdia. She told him, "Cuchulainn is saying that you are hiding because you're afraid of him." This made Ferdia mad, and he eventually agreed to fight. The two champions fought for 3 whole days without either gaining an advantage. They matched each other in both skill and bravery. Each evening, they sent assistance to each other. At sunrise on the 4th day, they faced each other in the middle of a shallow river. Their swords clashed loudly as they battled back and forth, but neither could gain the upper hand. Eventually, Cuchulainn gained an advantage and defeated his friend. As Ferdia fell, Cuchulainn took him in his arms. He felt no joy in winning the fight and wept bitterly over his friend. Soon after, the Red Branch Knight broke free of the spell and drove Queen Maeve's army from Ulster, but not before they'd stolen the brown bull of Quay. Now, When Queen Maeve arrived back in Connaught, she put the brown bull of Cooley into a pen. But it howled. It let out a really loud noise. And the white bull of her husband heard that noise and went to the pen, and they fought each other. The brown bull attacked the white bull attacked the brown bull, and eventually the brown bull was victorious. That night it escaped its pen and returned back to Ulster, to the lands of Cooley.
What an epic story.
I have one final story, because I know these folk here, I'm sure they've got other places to be. And it's about a great giant of a warrior called Finn McCool. You've all heard of Finn McCool. You know, the one who built the causeway to fight the giant over in Scotland. Well, Finn McCool was a warrior in the Fianna. And they were like a warrior band that travelled around Ulster, helping people. Now one day, he decided to go hunting in the woods. And he took his two great hounds with him and went up into the woods of Slieve Gullion in County Armagh. And he was wandering up the hill of Slieve Gullion when suddenly he thought he saw crossing the path in front of him a little deer. And he thought, what ho, I'll go and have that for dinner. So he chased after the deer with his hounds. And he went all the way up the mountain of Slieve Gullion, right to the very top. And there at the top of Slieve Gullion is a lake. And at the side of the lake was a beautiful young girl, crying. And Finn could see her crying, and he was upset for her, and he wanted to help. So he went over to the young girl and he said, what's wrong? Can I help? And she said, sir, I've lost my gold ring. I think it's in the lake. Well, Finn, being the good sort of fellow that he was, he decided he would dive into the lake and try and find the ring. So he took off his clothes and he jumped into the water and he tried to find the ring. Eventually, he did. And he brought the ring out to the young girl and he handed the ring to her. And as soon as he handed the ring to her, he turned into a withered old man. Grey as could be, wrinkles everywhere, his beautiful long flowing hair, which had always been thought of being bright and golden, just was one of his main features, turned grey. Instantly, old man. So old and unrecognisable was he, his hounds didn't even recognise him at all, and they ran off, and the young girl disappeared. Well now, a few hours later, the rest of the warrior band, the Fianna, had come looking for Finn because he'd been away for a while. And they found him sitting at the edge of this lake. But they didn't recognise him because he was old and withered. And they said, sir, have you seen a big giant of a warrior coming past? And the old Finn turned to them and said, I am that man. I am Finn McCool. And the warriors laughed at him and they said, no. Our Finn is 6 foot tall, as broad as a wall, has long golden hair. He says, no, that's been me. I've been cursed. Well, eventually, his warriors believed him. And they went seeking the young girl. And they found a cave near the lake entrance. And they went into the cave. And there they found an old hag of a woman. A witch, you might call her. Her name was Caligbear. Oh, and she had been the young girl at the lake, and she had been trying to curse Finn for years. Well now, when Finn's warriors found her, they demanded that she give them a vial, a cure for this curse. And she said no, and they demanded, and eventually she gave them the cure to this curse. And they ran out of the cave, and they found the old Finn, and they made him drink this cure. And he was restored to his former glory, except for one thing. His golden locks, his golden hair remained quite grey for the rest of his days. You see, Finn had had many run-ins with Caligbear. And in Ireland we have many witches, many Calics that went round cursing men and doing things wrong to the people. But sure, Isn't that always the way? There's always a few bad eggs.
Those are such great stories.
Ah, well.
But should we not be going?
Ah, you're right, Anya. Time is of the essence, and we do have a long way to go, my friends. But thank you for coming to visit with us. It's been a pleasure. I love telling stories, and to have a new audience, it's been great to tell you some of our great tales. And maybe you'll go and read those stories yourselves and tell them to your children. But sure, we'd better go. May the road rise with you.
And may the wind be always at your back.
Slán now.
Slán.
Bye-bye.